Welcome, everybody, to the school based podcast, the Evolution Podcast, where we are rolling along with our Evolution 2026 Growth Summit with the guest that I credit for being to blame to start all of this. And in a second, I guarantee you he doesn't take that credit. But late December, I reached out to Brennan. We would used to do monthly guest calls here in Evergreen Foundations. And I said, "Hey, Brennan, I'd love to have you in January. I think that would be great." And Brennan said, "You know what? Let's do January big. Let's make it something incredible." He was talking about his call. But what I heard was let's do a guest call every single day in January and do something big. So that's what we did. And that turned into the Evolution Podcast, where I am super excited to welcome our dear guest, school brother, Brennan Thompson. Welcome, Brennan. How are you?
Doing great, Brandon. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. And Dinka, thanks for having me on the call today.
Yeah, of course, it's our pleasure.
Absolutely. And Brennan, we've known each other now for, I think last year, we kind of started collabing with Life Coach Rob, and you have Recreate and the Huru crew on school. So we have known each other from being active, and I'm sure you've seen this tornado all over school as well. And we've gotten on some calls together. So I know you a little bit, and it's been a pleasure to be able to collaborate with you a little bit that we have. But for our guests and listeners that have no idea who this amazing everyday superhero is, who is Brennan Thompson?
You know, I've been watching a few of these previous episodes with your other guests. Great thought leaders, great school community owners, and I know that you like to lead off with this question. And so I've been thinking about this for a few days now, and I'm ashamed to say that I don't have a more coherent answer. But I think that's my answer. Who is Brennan is something that I'm kind of rediscovering every day. I mean, I know at the basis, right? I'm a father of two grown children, a 34-year-old and a 28-year-old, which puts me age, right? I've done the math. No matter how I slice up the numbers, I'm a second half guy, and not just like a beginning second half, like I'm sure-footed in that second half. I have a wonderful, just dear partner in life and in business, and Shannon, and who you guys have seen in the communities. Um, I'm lucky enough to have both my parents still alive and momentarily still close to me. I live in LA right now, but we're moving to Arizona in about 2.5 weeks. So, um, I'm a brother. I have an older sister. I had a younger brother who passed away years back, and so that's sort of the basis. But as I go into like who I am, I've had these iterations of my life, and it's so tiny that you asked this question right now, because as I'm moving and packing up memories, right, and putting things into a box and coming across things that you kind of forgot about. One of them was I found an old iPod about 4 days ago that has thousands of songs on it, and you start to realize who you become over the years. And in Recreate, we talk a lot about this idea of we're always in the state of becoming. That's really what it is. There is no past, there is no future. It is what you have now, and it's what you're becoming, which is sort of that guide to what's next. And so, I've been a corporate executive. I've been in sales. I've been in marketing. I've been in risk management. I've been in financial services, and I've been a coach. And I've been a coach for probably about, I guess, 12 years now officially, maybe 13 years now. I signed up with the John Maxwell team, so I'm part of the Maxwell Certified Leadership team,
Oh, nice.
and kind of branched into coaching. I think I've been a coach my whole life without knowing it. And so I guess the answer that I have is, who am I? Is I'm a person who is understanding who I used to be, who I'm becoming, who I will be, and putting that in the landscape of how can I serve people.
Which has been the huge common thread to everybody's ending of that answer. And I really love that. No matter how they answer, no matter what they say about themselves, it always ends with serving others. And I think that's what makes this summit, this podcast, all the people that we have met through school so special is the grounding factor is serving others. And what I also love is listening to that answer. I feel like, and the shirt is awesome. I feel like your answer also describes like what Recreate means. Am I wrong there a little bit? I feel like your story kind of is recreate.
My story is recreate. You're 100% there. Over the years, I've balanced this very serious part of me, right? Especially on the risk management side and the security and safety side. I mean, most of my colleagues were prior federal law enforcement, right? FBI agents, Secret Service agents. One of my close colleagues was a chief of police for a city here in Southern California. By the way, I have none of that background, right? So how I found myself in a position to work with these people at such a serious level. But even prior to that, being in the insurance business and being a financial advisor and just always having these corporate roles that they're not lightweight. At the same time, I've always been very spiritual, very understanding of my universal spirituality. I was raised Catholic as a kid. I went to private Catholic schools as a kid. I don't know that I'm religious based necessarily, but certainly an understanding of spirit and spirituality. And I felt for so long that I had to hide that part of me, right? I had to find a way to use it because it's who I am, but I couldn't go and get a client and work with somebody, a professional, at least I felt that, who was at that different level, who was very grounded in sort of the concreteness of what it means to be a corporate executive at that level. And it dawned on me as when I left my last job, the last corporate job I had, I worked for a multinational company, um, and I was in charge of their event security risk management, right? So traveling the world, doing all these very big, important things, keeping people alive, I guess is pretty important. And best job in the world, best job I ever had. And I couldn't figure out why I was burned out. I mean, here I am working for this corporation that was paying me a ton of money, flying me around the world first class, doing all these great things, meeting some of the best people I've ever met and ever worked with. And I was burning out. And it dawned on me that this trying to live two lives wore on me. Now, I was always taught from one of my early mentors, a guy named Paul Martinelli, that everything in the man made world was created twice. First as an idea, and then as a physical manifestation of that idea. And then as my kind of understanding grew and I started studying more like Neville Goddard kind of information, I kind of came to this new understanding that creation has happened. Creation is one and done. And everything that we do as human beings is we recreate what's already been created. And so the positive part of that is as I was leading this corporate career, had no idea what I was going to do after I left this corporate career, was back to the idea of becoming. Who am I becoming right now in this moment? What am I recreating? Whoever your creator is, if you're a believer in God, if you have some other deity that you believe in, if you believe just in universal consciousness, there's something there that created something. And all of our goals, all of our jobs really is just to be expressions of that. And so that's really what recreate was about for me. I was recreating a life, not tethered to the past, but not ignorant of it either. And not pulled by the future, but not trying to avoid that either. Purely living in the present, recreating each moment as we go. And that's really what Shannon and I try to express and develop inside of the Recreate community.
Wow, it's super super profound. I love how you bring in the spirituality and like everything was created, but that doesn't mean it's like that way, right? Like we can recreate. We were given free will to make choices and do things, and human beings are such creative people. And I really love that perspective of how you explain the word recreate. How did that turn into, and you said you and your partner Shannon are doing recreate together. I think it's pretty awesome. I know the Joy Project here on School with Rachel Benson, Jason, and Amina Alicia and the Better Brain Project have been like teaming up. I love seeing these like little power couples of school builders. How did recreate go from an idea, almost a vision of how you live life, into a school community?
Yeah. So Shannon and I were both on School for separate reasons. I can't remember what brought Shannon to Skool. I know in my case, I was on Skool probably for about 2 years, um, just as a member, right? And I had left my company, and I was thinking about going back to the insurance business because I had done that years ago. And I figured, okay, well, that's just something I can step right back into, get my insurance license, and fall into. So I was following a guy who owns a pretty big nationwide agency, um, and he was using Skool. I think he still is, just as a sort of a depository, right? So I found him on YouTube. He would get his followers off of YouTube. He'd put them into the Skool community. He had a bunch of courses and things set up, but I think ultimately his goal was, out of that pool of, I'll say, 13,000 people or so, those are people he was trying to focus on to have them join his agency of insurance. So that's what got me to Skool in the first place. And I didn't even know what it was, right? Like for me, Skool was this insurance agent's uh, domain. Like I had no idea. And then it wasn't until, most of my people, most of my crowd that I circle with are LinkedIn kind of people, right? Professionals and corporate and whatever. And so I'm on LinkedIn and I run across Max Perzon, right? Course and whatever. I think back then it was called Skool Masterclass,
Yeah.
and then it was Course, and now he has his new one called Free Course. But I ran across him back in the Skool Masterclass days, and I was like, oh, Skool. Oh, I'm on Skool. And that was like the first dawning for me that Skool was much bigger than this insurance agent thing, this guy. And so somehow, I think it was from Max's group is where I found Jamie and Dr. Steven, right, our magnetic membership guys. And I think for a lot of us, Brandon, I think like that's sort of the origin story for so many of us on Skool in our
I was
circle.
one of their second or third members because I was in Rob Dial's business breakthrough. Jamie was my one-on-one coach. Then I seen she opened up a community, and that was my first wow. And then I think a month later, Dave and I opened up a community.
There you go. There you go. And so I think I found him. Stephen was big in Course. That's kind of where he was getting a lot of his traction from. And I think I found him because they had just crossed the 1,000. So I'm about 997 after you. I joined MM, and then I met you guys. I met Rob, and that's everything from there. To kind of circle back to what you're asking is so when Shannon and I decided we wanted to have a community, we decided first what we wanted to do. And one of the early things that we had inside of our community in the classroom was what we called the 3 C's. And this is, I think, the point that you just kind of gravitate to is these 3 C's for us were connect, collaborate, create. And we decided that if we weren't doing one of those 3 things, then we were doing the wrong thing. Everything was about, create something, connect with people, and then out of those connections, find people you want to collaborate with. And I guess my process from being a public speaker and having to come up with ideas, my process usually in the morning, 1 cup of coffee first, and I'm in the morning and I'm doing laps around the dining room table or around the living room and just free flow of ideas. And recreate was just one of those things that just kind of came to me, right? Just how much sense it made. Recreate and the 3 C's is really where it was initially. And I just think a lot of what I had been through in that year, and Shannon too, right? Shannon has been an entrepreneur for most of her adult life. We were kind of going into this thing newly, blindly, not knowing really what the power was. We had known a few people, and we just really said, can we build something if all we do is create, connect, and collaborate? And that took us to sort of recreate opening. I think we got it up and running very quickly, and we made moves in that community very quickly. And it really was this proof that those 3 things worked, right? Just connecting, collaborating. And my first collaborator really was Rob, right? Life coach Rob. Back when he had his 2 communities, and we were trying to help him push to get that second one. And there were quite a few of us that were sort of the collaborators with him. But so before I even had Recreate doors open, I was doing calls with Rob's group.
Yeah. It's crazy how that old style of like have a community and then you have to start a whole nother community to get it to like that paid version. A lot of us, it's like now looking back on it with the premium and the freemium tiers and stuff, it's kind of like that was like the Wild West days of school. We did it. We did Evergreen Foundations was our premium community. Evergreen Evolution was the community that started previously. And then when we closed down the premium when the freemium tiers opened up, and not for that reason, but it was right about that time. And we just said let's keep the foundation's name. We'll have one community and do that. So it's kind of crazy that you guys were a part of the Rob experiment with all that too. And now people coming on to school, it's so much easier.
Yeah, yeah. And what's even crazier is before it was like before the free to premium or free to paid, what they called it, right? It was sort of regular where people had three communities. And I want to say that Stephen and Jamie even had three at one point,
Maybe, yeah.
where they had to trim down. So yeah, school, and I'm sure we'll talk about this throughout this call, but school has done a lot of the things in a good way, right? Making it easier for, I don't even know what we're called anymore. I mean, are we community owners? Are we content creators? I know so many of us go by the term coach. Um, it's sort of hard to pigeonhole us into one term, but school has, Sam and his team have definitely uh, perfected the platform or got it as close to perfect as you can get.
Yeah, and to your point, like us schoolers, whatever you want to call us, once we figured out, like you look at all the communities, there's no politics, there's no divide, there's no yelling. We're human beings that help each other. And I love the analogy of like Jack Robinson in a schoolyard, where it's a yard party, it's a barbecue. You're having people over. You're not gonna when someone pulls up to your barbecue, you're not gonna say, "Hey, by the way, do you want to buy all this stuff?" No, you're gonna get them a drink. You're gonna hang out with them. You're gonna say, "Hey, Dinka's over there doing some stuff. You should hang out with her. She's cool." Like that's true community. And I think really we're just humans that are eager to grow and help others. And when you put a bunch of those humans in a space, magic happens and collaboration happens and creations. I mean, so many cool things created on this platform every day. And yeah, I think that your point is testament to that. Since you've been on school now pretty much I think almost as long as me. I've been on a couple of years. Same thing where I thought one community was school. So it's like, oh, there is more at the end of the world. There's like thousands more worlds. um, have you noticed a shift lately in the community you came into? That was more like a coach's lead pool, right? Like bring his audience from YouTube, have a lead pool, sift through it. Who wants my programs? Do you see that that culture is shifting on school more into the collaboration and community um, backdrop opposed to, hey, I'm a coach and this is my lead pool?
Yeah, I do see a shift. I think there's still a struggle, a little bit, and where how it ends up looking. Number one, I don't think it's going to be one thing. I think there's going to be a lot of different things, and I think that's the point, right? Anybody who's using school for whatever purpose, whether it be for fulfillment of something with your clients, whether it be lead attraction, whether it be purely just community without really a business model in place, I think there's room for everybody, and I think that was sort of the point, at least the point that I'm going to take that Sam and his team had when they came up with the hobby plans, right? Not everybody's going to come on here and make money, and I think that's healthy. I think it's healthy to talk about right up front, because what I saw for a while I didn't like, and that was this idea. Oh, I open up a community, and then all of a sudden I have a whole bunch of people join, and next thing you know, I'm making $15,000 a month. And I think a lot of people try doing that, and obviously that doesn't work, right? And uh, you know, I, I know this is going to be out there and going to be seen, so I'll be diplomatic about it. But I think I'm kind of known for saying to people, as I help people grow their businesses as part of my coaching, or I'm a business coach at heart, I guess. Although I do a lot of the personal development and spiritual development as well. Um, I'm kind of, I guess, known for saying this to whoever will listen, and that is, school is a great platform, and they're doing a lot of really cool, innovative things. But you do have to ask yourself this question: is when they roll something out, is that good for school, or is that good for me and my business? Because they're not always mutually, exclusive or inclusive, right? Sometimes it's good for school and it's not good for everybody. It's not good for you. And so I think there's one thing that I have seen, and that is how different people assume school is going to be. And I think this is kind of to answer your question. The shift that I'm seeing is there still seems to be sort of an old guard of schoolers around, right? Back when, like when the school games was monthly and it was talk about the Wild West, like that was the Wild West. And there's some guys who are still on school now who are part of that team, right? Jenna is one from I can't remember what her community is called now. It used to be called Build with Jenna. I think she changed it now. Ryan Duncan had been on for a while. Max, of course, is part of that group. And Goose. Goose is part of that group. I'm part of Goosify, and I'm kind of in the Goose universe a bit. Goose is a hard universe to once you're in, you're kind of sucked in. I got to say, I think I'm on like 2 or 3 special teams with Goose. I'm part of his IRL thing. We'll talk about the IRLs. I hope in a
Oh, we
little
will. Yeah.
bit. So I'm the mayor of a couple of cities, part of his IRL. I'm part of he has a special team called Goose Team 6. And I was in that since the beginning. Um, but so there are all these people, this old guard of school, and I think I kind of watch them for how they're shifting. Like, what were they doing 2 years ago versus what they're doing now? And then how are people coming in? And then there are people who are coming into school brand new, and they're just crushing it. Like, they're coming in and they're doing a lot of MRR. And and then there's some people who come on to school, and there's this idea of community. Now, this is going to sound a little contradictory for a second, but bear with me. They come on with this idea of community, and all they want to do is build community, and there's nothing wrong with it. But then you start to ask, well, what is your definition of community? And this is where it kind of gets a little, I gotta be fair. I gotta give the good with the bad. Is we can only serve so many people, right? Not everybody is ours to serve. And as a person of service, whether you're a coach or whatever it is you're trying to do, you also have to understand that when you're looking at your clients, your prospective clients, your ideal clients, right? Your what they call your ICPs. Um, we at best are only one potential answer to one of our clients' problems. And Sam kind of talked about this in a different way in one of his school news things, a few months back, which is, if you're a schooler and you're on school, you're probably on there 8 hours a day, 6 to 8 hours a day. But your average member who's not a schooler, like doesn't have their own community, they're on there maybe an hour a day at tops, maybe a couple hours a week tops. And so that there's that kind of unbalance, right? And so I see a lot of people, and there's people that you and I both know that come in with this whole idea of community, but there's so many communities. And so, yeah, it's better than social media as a whole, which has just become vitriolic. And there's a common decency that happens. And I give so much credit to school for finding a way for that to all happen, or credit to all of us for finding a way to keep that. But we also are, I'm going to use the word competing in quotes. Right? There's the quotes. Um, but we are competing for attention still. And so we bring people into our communities, but then there's, I don't know how many, there's got to be 300,000 communities,
Yeah.
right? And so you bring them in the front door, but then there's a lot of things on the back door. And I don't think it's a bad thing, but it does kind of start to give the question, then what is community? Is community what you're offering as, Brandon in your communities, or Dinka and hers, or Brennan and Shannon and ours? Or is community the collective of all those communities? How do you serve? I guess is really that kind of the question. I think we're all, like you mentioned, that everybody that you've been interviewing, they come down to this single point of service. How do you keep that service pure and get it to as many people as you can without the frustrations of somebody was in my community and then they left my community, and somebody, or somebody comes to my community and they don't talk in my community. So a lot of questions to answer. I think the overall trajectory is good. I think as the platform continues to grow, we're going to have more opportunities to find more people to be part of our circle, and people we can bring service to, and people who can bring service to us, because it is a two-way street. And so I do see that trend changing for the better over time.
Yeah, agreed. And said a lot of great stuff there. I totally agree with everything. And really, that's hey, Brandon Newgard. We are we I think are turning this on its head a little bit, not only with this event, but with the way the event is unfolded. Every time after this call, you're going to gain members today and recreate or this week after they watch it. It's going to happen. I can guarantee it. That's my guarantee to you from the summit, right? Because it happens every time where members go in. A year and a half ago, I would have called up Dave and been like, dude, this member, like we lost them. They went to different communities because I was looking at it as a lead pool. I was looking at it as I can't grow my business if I don't connect with every single person. Now we have promote your community categories. We raid other communities. We go in there and give them activities because if Mark Eldridge can meet Chris Martins and be like, Chris really solves this problem for me, and then they team up, guess who they remember they kind of got that from? That's what I'm leaning on, right? Is I put them together, they fix that. So when they have a problem that I can fix, I'm going to be the first person that they come to. And the communal thing, now I do it different where everybody that walks through the door, I'm listening like you're at my barbecue. And if I hear you go, I need a napkin, I get you a napkin. I need a drink, I get you a drink. Hey, here you go. I'm lonely. Go talk to Brennan. He's an awesome dude. And what I'm learning is what happens from that is when they have a big problem to solve, weight loss, habit tracking, building communities now accidentally. When they have a bigger problem to solve, the first person they think of is me because I solved the little ones for them. And I think doing that is what's making school better. Hey, there's a bunch of us people in here. Let's learn from each other. And I think everyone that walks the door, everyone on this call, I'm looking over at the list. Everyone on this call is somebody that if I have a specific thing, I know I could call them and be like, hey, can you teach me how to do this? Or have you had this problem? And I think that's a true community is you become a family of people helping each other. Would you agree?
No, I love it. As a matter of fact, I wrote down a note that you said earlier, and you just repeated this. Reminded me, about the barbecue thing. 100%. So really, what you guys have done is you've taken good old fashioned networking, lead with service first, be a facilitator of people meeting other people, and that's what's going to get you remembered, right? You don't need to walk in and say, "Oh, here, I'm Brennan. Here's what I do." No, just do it. Like connect this person with that person, and you will forever be the connector. And so you've taken that idea and you put it into communities and you put it on an online platform. It's going to grow beyond online. But that barbecue line is really something special. We've talked a little bit about Recreate. We haven't talked much about Huru Crew and kind of where that came from. Dr. Steven was on, I'm not sure if it was a post that he did in his community, but it was something in Magnetic, either a call or a post. And he talked about that exact same idea. Treat people like they're in your living room, right? Not like they're coming to your lead magnet. Treat them like you're in your living room. And the idea was to be a host. And how would you host somebody if they were in your house for like a party or just a get together? And when I read that and when I heard him say that, my mind went into hyperdrive and I went to the idea of be a host, don't be a guru, be a huru. And that's what Huru Crew came from. And it was really at a time for Shannon and I where working through Recreate was it was getting difficult, right? It wasn't as much fun as it started off. And this was early on. By the way, Recreate's not even a year old yet, which for me is just hard to even fathom, right? We will be a year old. I think April 7th is our anniversary date. Right. So we're still shy of a year old. Huru Crew's only been around since July of 2025. Probably a little bit more time there to go. Growing fast and making fast traction, it took a lot out of me. Like it took a lot out of us to get that. We got when Recreate first came about, we were in the money category, which traditionally is one of the difficult categories to really to rank in. And we got to page one in the money category. I want to say like in our first, it was probably like 40 days or something like that. A little over a month. We had about 80 members, and we got to page one in the money category, and we're like, wow. To keep that going took so much out of us. And we were never worried about growing the size, the number. That was never our thing. And a part of that I'll give to you and David. I'll give credit to you and David. When I first met you guys, one of the things that you said was growing your numbers wasn't your focus. Serving the people that were in your community was. And I think there's so much power to that. I look at communities now, and no offense to anybody who wants to grow their community, But you start looking at the numbers and you say, okay, well, you've gone from 300 to 1,300, 800 to 2,500, but you still have the same number of active people and only the same percentage of number, but a lower percentage, and it's the same actual people. And so at some point you say, well, then what was the growth for? What did the growth in numbers do for you? So we were growing pretty fast. I want to say we create somewhere in the we're shy of 600, but like 570, 580, somewhere around there. And we got to that number. We've been pretty much at that number for a while. And we started getting smart about who we let in, who we don't let in. Number one, there's a ton of bots, and that's one great thing. I wish Skool could find a way to get a better handle on, because I know we're all slammed by the bots and slammed by the people who have nefarious marketing intentions. But we really focus on this idea that we didn't need to grow big, and we're totally fine. As a matter of fact, we're at the point where we might start reducing. Right? I'd rather be as much as I can be to 250 to 350 people than to be almost nothing to 1,000 people. Excuse me. And so, Hulu Crew is somewhere below 300. Recreate is somewhere below 600. We'll see how it grows. We haven't really done any organic, any off-platform marketing yet. That's sort of our next phase. But there's no point in doing that for us until we know how we want to serve those people. And right now, it's just about serving the community. We've seen some friends come and go from our communities, and in a healthy way. I think sort of a testament to this is we've gone from being connected via community to being connected via WhatsApp groups or just regular phone calls or whatever. That those are now relationships, and those relationships matter whether they're Skool or not. And I always ask my clients, what would you do tomorrow if Skool was no longer a platform? Do you still have a business? And if you're not taking those relationships and making them more than just what Skool can hold, you might want to rethink that a little bit. The last thing I want to do is, in this next phase of growing my business, growing the people I serve, is to be beholden to one platform. As great as Skool is, I don't want my whole business and my whole life and my whole sense of service to be pigeonholed into that one thing. So how do you grow Skool? How do you be a big part of it? But how do you also kind of dream beyond the borders of Skool? And I always kind of try to influence people to think that way, not to take away from Skool, but how do you go beyond Skool? How do you build beyond that? And I love what you and David have been doing. Sorry, Dinka, I cut you off there.
No, I just said it makes sense. I want to go back to what you were saying about the numbers for a while, because it was actually a question that popped into my head while you guys were talking. That is more better? Is, more members really the kind of growth that we are aiming for? I think there's a lot of vanity metrics on Skool, chasing the star, chasing a certain amount of members, chasing a certain amount of revenue. But is it sustainable? Is it realistic? Because there's also growing pains. When you have a bigger community, you have certain problems that are also bigger. For example, the bots and like the gatekeeping of, who do you let in and how do you screen your new members. So I would be curious what your take on that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think bigger is better. I think big enough for what, and again, it depends on what your needs are, right? If you're really sort of still in that idea where you're using your community because that's where you're going to pull future clients from or whatever, that's kind of your prospect pool, then I guess you need those numbers to go through. But then you're left with this question: then why the community? And so I don't know that I ever really aligned with the idea that community's purpose should ever have been to bring prospects in. I don't think it is. I think that's the wrong way to think about it, at least for us in our business. The way I kind of think about it now is, if there's people that I'm attracting for my business, and they're not ready to go to that step yet, right? That's the solutions that I have are not the problems that they're aware of yet. Doesn't make them bad people. They like what I have to say. So is that a great place where they can kind of still get to know me and everything else? Fine. If all your focus on your community is trying to ascend people to a payment thing, then I think you're doing a disservice for the people that are in your community. Um,
100%.
like, why have them there? Listen, I get it. It's nice to have a pool of people somewhere where you can love on them and hopefully provide value. But let's be honest, you can do that on any other platform. You can do that on Facebook. If they're following you, they're following you. And so I think I'm getting out of and I don't know I was ever fully into it, but I'm less and less aligned with the idea of people collecting.
Yeah.
And I want to build relationships. And we talked about the idea of what you're doing in this platform and in this with the evolutions um, to networking. The idea of networking was never to have the biggest Rolodex. People that don't know you and you don't know them, and you couldn't call them if you needed them, and you're not even top of mind to them. The idea was to have 15, 20, 30, 50, 60, whatever it is, people that you need that you can serve regularly and that think of you when questions come up, and that you can also go to when you need a resource. And how many people do you need for that? Do you need 2,000 people in your community for that? And
No.
then to Deacon's point, how do you serve them? And I think here's the biggest kind of maybe thought provoking thing for business builders. We talk about the MRR. How much money do you really need? If you're not going to collect people, which is a bad thing in the first place, right? Don't collect people. How many dollars do you need to collect? What is successful? And maybe it's now because we're moving from Los Angeles, which is just the biggest money suck I think that exists in the world, or at least up there with them, to Arizona, which we're going to cut our expenses down, tremendously, probably almost in half. And all of a sudden, needing more is not top of mind for us. Needing more peace is, needing more joy is, needing stronger relationships is top of mind. But needing more money and needing more people to feed that money need down the road, less in mind. I'd rather have a smaller community of meaningful relationships than a big one of potential prospects.
100% agree. And I mean, I see it. I've fallen into this trap. I kind of came from uh, culture that was, anyone can be a high ticket coach. Get in there, change your life. You're going to be making 10K a month, almost overnight. I've been doing it for 2 years, almost 3 years. Still plugging along, and things are going because of consistency. But at first we did that where it was like, well, they're not a lead. Brennan's not a lead. He's not going to sign us. Like, he'll be a cool guy. Dinka's not going to be a lead. Like, we did that. We fell into that trap. But we always, like you said, we always had that, like, well, we still care about people, still want to help people. We still showed up as us. So what happened was, look, Brennan wasn't a lead, but here he is. He inspired this crazy ass growth summit, and he's a guest. And Dinka wasn't a lead when she walked in the doors, and we barely, and if we would have barely ever paid attention to her, we would have lost her. Now she's our partner, and I'm a podcast host with her. And I could go down the list. Mark Eldridge jumped in a community thing with me before I even knew I was going to go into community building as a thing that I offer, and we connected. I would have never thought of him as somebody I'd work with. I'm working with him. He's in my group, my focus group. So when you keep an open mind of everybody matters that walks to your community door, everybody can have benefit to you and you can benefit them. It's a two-way street circle. What can you teach me? What can I teach you? You start to find that when bigger projects come up, those close connections are going to be the people that you lean on. So anybody can be a lead, but when you're looking at them as a lead, you're pushing them away and they're not a lead. That's my take on it.
Yeah, totally agree. What's the service? I mean, I think service is a word that comes up so often with all of us on, associated with this group, because it truly is what's in our hearts. And um, I think that might be what you see when you say Brennan's not a lead, Dink is not a lead, Rob's not a lead, whatever. But without saying it, what you're seeing is, but I could be of service and they can be of service to me. And I think that's the attraction. And I think that's the same attraction maybe, and I've never spoken with Dr. Stephen about this, but that might be that same attraction that they're talking about in magnetic, right? As successful as magnetic memberships has been, um, you look at the growth of their free group compared to the growth of their paid group, and they've managed that very well. They got their rocket, so so we know they're doing at least 10,000 on platform. I know he's doing more off platform, but I think that magnetic part of what he's talking about isn't about, is this person a lead? Isn't about, can I form a community for this person to join? I think it's more about, are you seeing the person inside? At least that's how I'm choosing to take it. And uh, now that I'm partners with Steven in terms of we're both co-mayors for Arizona for the IRLs. I look forward to having this conversation more and more with him to kind of get some ideas of what he and Jamie are doing. They've been great people to sort of follow. I look at them as the first group I kind of got attached to that was doing bigger things than than I was, and so they've been sort of that thing to look up to, that group to look up to, and so I just look forward to kind of going further in that direction with them. Now that I'm moving to Arizona, I'll be closer to them.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. And
exciting. Sorry, Brendan. What I was thinking about is that, okay, so Skool is an online platform, and yeah, some of us are here to make money, but at the end of the day, we're still human beings. And I feel like, how many times I get messages from people that, oh, hey, Dinka, you did this thing with the link in the post, and I don't know how to do that. And can you explain? I have a community about astrology, so this has nothing to do with what I do in my community. But if a person asks me something that I have the answer to, I'm very happy to help them. So that's already community building or relationship building, because you are just, talking to a person who needs something. You have the answer, you can help them, and why the hell not? It doesn't cost me anything. So I feel like it's just exactly the same like in real life, like why wouldn't I, do something for someone who's asking me and I have the answer. It doesn't have to be always so complicated. You don't have to always overthink it. Like, how does it reflect on me? Just be nice. At the end of the day, just, be kind and be nice. I think that's something that is a little bit overlooked sometimes on Skool. Don't you agree?
I definitely think so, and it's use the word be kind, and I think, is Maxwell Reisman in your guys' group? I think he is, right?
I don't know.
I don't know if he's in
Randy?
here, but I'm on I'm customer success sidekick in the schoolyard with Jack Robinson, and Max is in our Launchpad VIP masterminds Monday through Friday. And that kid, let me tell you, yeah.
He's amazing, right? And so his whole community was built on, it's, I forgot what it's called right now. I'm a member of it, but it's kindness, right? His kindness group, and he's a guy that really walks that walk, right? He believes in kindness. He's trying to spread kindness. I know early on we had some conversations about he was trying to think about how does he monetize it, and maybe the question was, well, how do you monetize kindness? But he lives that. He is like, he's the epitome of this idea of spreading kindness and just being kind in general. Not even spreading kindness like it's a mission, although I think he does that. Just how do you be kind? And similar with Rachel, right?
I
Rachel
was
and
just
Joy. Rachel and I've had a lot of conversations together about some of the coaching conversation, maybe a thinking partner conversation, and now we're sort of in this zone of just how do we grow together. That was sort of the question too. Is how do you monetize joy? And I love where she's going with it. This idea of joy it's not just some fluffy thing. It's a tactical piece of how your life should be lived. I'm not going to try to explain it in the way that she does, because she does it much better than I do. But I think the point is, when I look at Recreate, we got to where we got, right? And like I said, 570 plus members. We're now no longer in the money. We're now in the self-improvement category. We haven't been focused as much lately. And the reason is this is because I don't really have an answer for what Recreate is supposed to do. I got to, it used to bother me, right? I thought, okay, I'm going to use Recreate. I'm going to get it into my coaching, but it's not really good for a business platform. Um, it, I have an idea now where it's going to go, and I think so. Being in self-improvement is the right place for it. But it's sort of the same idea. If I didn't want to be a recreate coach, right? A spiritual coach per se, then what is recreate? And so we haven't been focused on how to monetize it. Um, right now, we are totally okay with it just being who we are, spreading a good message to people. Um, we'll figure out the money part later. We're not hurting for money, right? So I had this conversation with Rob uh, not that long ago, and the conclusion I got to, because Rob and I have kind of grown. I mean, he's I don't know what, but probably 6, 7 months ahead of me in our school journey.
We're
So
basically we're basically weeks apart or days apart.
you guys
Evolution
did the part.
and mindset and Pure Life Mindset are now foundations. We were like first same week, and we seen him in Magnetic, and then we're joining his, we're collaborating with him. So about well, year and a half now.
Right, right. I want to say August was his anniversary.
Yep, and we were like September 1st week.
Got
So
it,
we
got
were
it,
building, we were back then when you need 10 courses and you need all this stuff and you don't need nothing. Open the doors of your community. You don't need nothing. You don't even need a course. Open the doors if you listen to this. We did this whole build for a month before we opened the doors thing. So we were probably right about same time as Rob.
got it, got it. And we did the same thing, right? We started building courses. I think if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't build a single course. I would focus just on community people, and I'd figure out maybe a couple calls or whatever. So Rob and I have been doing these calls together, and gosh, I think we're probably 8 months now, 8 or 9 months of doing weekly calls. We're now doing them biweekly. We might change that to monthly. We'll see where it goes. But we had this conversation maybe 2 months out, like right before the holidays, and trying to figure out the best path forward. And I came to this conclusion that what I thought I needed to do with Recreate, I didn't need to do. I thought I needed to find its monetization path. And then I came to the conclusion, like, I don't need to. Why? I mean, we're making money. Our business makes money. We're still doing what we got to do. Recreate will monetize at some point, or it won't, or maybe it'll be direct, or maybe it'll be indirect. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it'll be a platform for just to kind of support my speaking career. Maybe that's what it does. I don't know. But what I do know is this, and I think this is kind of what Dinka was speaking towards, is I'd rather just help people if I can. And if money comes from it, which it will at some point or it won't at some point, I'm totally fine with that. And the moment I came to that understanding that Recreate doesn't need to make a damn cent, like doesn't need to, then the whole world opened up for me. And I was like, okay, this is so much more um invigorating, right? Because anybody who runs a school community and is chasing like Dinka mentioned, the vanity metrics. Listen, I know you know about the star. You guys, by the way, congrats! You guys are back in star territory. I love it.
Yeah,
Good seeing
Dave's
it.
got that Starry's back. We manufactured one, so I know what you're talking about. We got
Right?
one activities once, and now we got one that it's just because we have a lot of great active members. I've done both ways. It's and doing it yourself is not fun.
It's funny. I've been saying this in the in-person events I've been doing. When the Goose tour was here in Southern California, I did the L.A., the Phoenix, where Stephen and Jamie also were co-hosting there, and then I did San Diego, all within like 7 days, right? So I was like a little a Goose groupie. But I got to speak at all of those events, and one of the things I was telling people, because everybody's kind of new for their communities or trying to build their communities, the idea of being the star, having the star came up, and I believe in this wholeheartedly. If you get the star, you have to understand that you, as the community owner, in your case, David, they get to wear that star, but it's the community that earned it. Like you didn't earn it. But if your community loses that star, that is 100% on you. Like you lost it. The community didn't lose it. And that's just what leadership is, right? If accomplishments happen, it's the team that did it. But if accomplishments don't happen, that's the leader's fault. That's the leader's responsibility to go with. I think the star is the same way. I think the only emoji that's probably worth saying I fought for and I got is the fire, which I currently don't have mine. I think I'm 9 days away or 10 days away from getting it back. I lost it because I just simply lost track of time one day. Uh, for a good reason. I was doing an IRL event on the day, and I like totally forgot to go on to school and actually do it. So, um, because at least with the flame, it says that you are consistent, that you're controlling the things that you can control. You can't control the algorithm and the activity. You can't always control the money that's going to come in. I mean, you can have a plan and a monetization plan and work that plan. That's one of the things I think that when I said earlier, when Sam and his team do something, is it good for school or is it good for you as a community owner? And I think the emojis are good for school. I think it's good because it keeps people involved. It keeps people on the platform, right? Because we all want to chase stuff. But you have to take a step back and ask yourself in your business, was chasing the star a good thing? I think most people would say no. And one of the things that disturbed me on school a while back, I haven't seen it so much lately, but I saw it a while back. I saw people who were saying they were actually starting communities saying, I can show you how to get your star. And that was the point of their community. And I just didn't align with that because I don't think that that should be a goal in and of itself.
No.
I think getting engagement going, that's a great goal.
Yeah.
Star or no star, that's a great goal.
Well, it's what is the engagement doing? Likes, comments, stars, flames, even that they don't monetize. They don't do anything for anyone inside the community. So if stuff is happening, like right now, man, we have people growing, we have communities growing, we have things growing, everything that's happening with that star, all the activities that happen with the star we have now, something comes from that. People are growing, people are experiencing things, they're sharing skills with other people. Before it was like three of us liking everything and a bunch of comments and a bunch of gifts and we lost it I think in like a week because we just were like, "Oh, we're burnt out from doing that." We lost it. We didn't get it back again. And I think a big testament of that, and I'm kind of jumping around but responding to what you said is, but a big testament that goes along with that is all the members in your community, what do they feel like they belong to? You don't
Mhm.
need a premium membership. Your high ticket offer of one-on-one with Brennan, 99% of your community members probably can't afford that. So they're not wanting that in a premium tier. All they're really wanting is something light. Recreate might be telling you right now what your premium is, just with members talking about certain things. Then you're like, you know what? This isn't a premium tier. This is a club. Come and join and recreate. Me and Shannon every Wednesday. Let's talk about these four things that we've seen our members talking about, and we'll do $10 a month to start. And now you have a premium tier just because people care about what you're doing. People don't want more of the what. There's thousands of offers. There's thousands of communities. They want more of the who. Who's showing up to these groups? What are they talking about? Who's leading these groups? What kind of community is this group in? And then they'll pay for it. Then no questions asked because they want to be a part of that. And I think that's kind of my take on how I see school going now is every community has a tier. What are you buying that tier for? And I think it's more of the what. I know for a fact right now in my life, I'm busy. I have a bunch of communities, a bunch of clients. I'm doing stuff all the time. So I don't have time to go and do somebody else's premium. But when I do, Tim Atteo from our call this month in the summit call is on my list. People like you, if you did one and recreate, that would be on my list because of who is doing it, not because of what's offered, what you guys are talking about in group, but recreate. Mark, Chris, Mark, you, Chris Martins, life coach Rob, Shannon Koss, Sarah Geelan, we just talked about Rachel Benz. I see those people showing up to a weekly group and it's 15, $20 a month. Take out my credit card. You know what I mean? Like that. I think that is the big key is who, not what. Would you agree? You've seen that is a lot here in school too and beyond in business probably.
Definitely, definitely. It's always been the who. It's never been the what, right? Um, as coaches, we like to give all this information. We think that the world is information based, and it never really was, and it still isn't today. Coaching isn't about information, and that's sort of I sort of picked a fight with the coaching industry or what's become of the coaching industry as of late, where if you've done something in your life, then all of a sudden you are a coach, and so you should go and teach that thing. And I've never believed in that. I've always believed in this idea that, first of all, as a coach, we don't really know anything more than what our clients know. We have a different understanding of things. It's not about, hey, do what I did and then you'll get what I got. That's not true, right? And that's why I use the term thinking partner. Um, how can I help somebody? Because if I believe in the idea that everything that's been created has already been created, and it's just about how we become aware of it, how we express it. If I believe that's true for me, then I have to believe it's true for you, which means you don't need my information. Maybe you just need me to walk the path with you so that you can find it yourself. So that again, that's about a who thing. And all of this from the very first question that you asked about, who is Brennan, to my talking through recreate Huru Crew, my ideas on school so far, my ideas in business. I think it all comes down to the word of identity. And so when you say the who, that's really what it is. It's others' identities, how they identified themselves at that time, being attracted to the Brennan identity at this time, or the Brandon, or the Dinka, or the life coach Rob, or you mentioned Sarah. We haven't talked about Sarah. Sarah's one of my favorite people, and I think she's in all of our communities for sure, right?
She's an
Uh,
admin in this one now, the cake stealing Sarah. She's everywhere. I freaking love her.
yeah, you guys need a cake. Yeah, I got called out yesterday for not adding cake into one of my polls, so I had to apologize. And unfortunately, I found out the hard way is that once the poll's been answered, you can't edit the poll, so I couldn't even add cake to it. So I had to give Sarah her special cake in the comments. So God bless you guys for bringing the cake, and I love cake, so I got no problem. It's just so many people, and so I think it really is. It really is the who, but not just the who we are as the providers of this. It's the who we all are and the who we all become together,
As a collective.
and
Yeah.
as a collection, right? And with Huru Crew, kind of the idea, we already had the create, connect, collaborate for recreate. So we're like, okay, what's the Huru Crew thing about? And what we came up with that was the idea of, let's just talk about communities and how to build them. And our little tagline was, because building communities is better together. And that's just what it is, right? And so, that's who we are in Huru. I think that same sentiment goes through to recreate. So, like, to your point, if we do a premium tier, great. I think you're right. I think it's going to be not just who is Brennan, who is Shannon. It's going to be, who can we all be together,
Yeah.
and that serves its own purpose, I think, in my mind.
Agreed. And I mean, my little focus group that we're doing now, Tornado Power, it's 6 of us that all have the same but different goals, that just think tank, talk, go take some action. And the next day, we're a week in, and you'd think we were doing this for 6 months, with how people are like, wow, things are happening. And it's because we're focused on each other. It's not because any one of us has a secret weapon or a secret sauce that's going to make everybody a bunch of money. It's because we're caring about each other. And I think that's nuts and bolts what it comes down to. When you have people that care about the growth of other people, the services, the premiums, the things you teach, the things you talk about, they just they show themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's,
oh,
go ahead, please.
I was gonna say, well, if you haven't thought, you can do that, because I was gonna kind of segue and say, what you got going on right now with the Goosify thing. And I know Steve and Rachel is Rachel Bentz from the Joy Project we talk about, is a Skool in Real Life Mayor of Minnesota, a couple hours away from me. So it sounds like I might be getting roped into being one here in Wisconsin or something. You know me, tornado, I'm all over. We want to do like a Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin get together. Explain to me, what is Skool IRL? How did you get involved? What are you doing? How are these events taking what we love and know here on Skool and bringing it into in real life?
Yeah, no, great segue, great topic too. Um, for me, the IRL is really the end all be all for all of this, right? I came from the event world prior to this. It's the one component of my last corporate career that I had, my last corporate job, um, that I would say was why it was the best job I ever had, right? It was doing in-person events, and those were huge, right? Those were anywhere from like 2,000 for a very small up to 40,000 for a large one. And just that energy is something that's what I miss the most. I can't wait to get back to. So the way it kind of happened here was I was always thinking, well, how do I take my speaking career and parlay that with school and what I'm doing? And I didn't really have a clean answer. I'm doing them both kind of parallel, but I wasn't finding the way to intersect them. So then the Goosify thing comes around. So I joined Goosify. I forgot when, a while back, early on, like shortly after I started Recreate, maybe a couple of months. And I got a DM from Goose, and I was telling him that I was brand new to school, and he's like, brand new when you have your star already. Because remember we got the star for Recreate really fast. And I was like, yeah. So that's when he made me he found out that I live in Los Angeles. And he made me an admin in the LA IRL community. And I had no idea what that meant, right? What that meant for us, but I knew that he was doing these events around the world. And this was, like I said, months and months ago. LA wasn't until October. So I didn't know what to do. There wasn't a lot of direction on what these IRLs were supposed to be or what they were coming in. I didn't really follow up. Well, we go on, and it was maybe a few weeks before the LA event was supposed to happen. And I get a message from Tony, who was one of Goose's right hand guys, right? And Tony's like, hey, we'll be in LA October, whatever that date was, 6, I think it was. And so where's the venue? Now, keep in mind, I'm an admin in this group, along with people like AJ Gonzalez, who's been a hitter on Skool for a while, Evan Meadows, who's been a hitter on Skool for a while. These guys are both Rockets minimum, I guess. They're doing big things. They've been around for a while. They know what they're talking about. And so even what was the guy's name? Doug Boughton down in San Diego.
Oh, I love those guys.
Yeah, he was an admin in this group too. I'm sort of thinking, like, number one, there was never a conversation between any of us. So I'm asking Tony, like, well, what do you mean? Like, he was asking me, where's the venue? I'm like, well, shouldn't you be telling me that? So that's when I found out that to do an IRL with the Goose World then meant that you got to kind of be ready to fly quickly on the seat of your pants and get things done. Now, the good thing is that it all works out. So I was about to, and by the way, at some point, I was removed as an admin in the group, so I figured they just kind of went in a different direction, right? And I was fine with that. So Tony's like, no, I don't know how that happened. Put me back as an admin. It's like, yeah, so we just got to figure out where the venue's going to be. Here's your budget. Go figure it out. It was like 2 weeks before the event. So I come from a world where, we plan events like 3 years out. We don't plan them 3 weeks out, right? So I'm thinking, oh my God, this isn't going to work. I don't have time for this. I'm trying to run 2 communities. I'm trying to run a business. What am I going to do? And then I met, I'd already known Ethan and Andy, who run a company called Bullish Events, and they have a community here on Skool too. And I met Ethan because he was, they were doing the planning for, Felix, right? Felix from Magnetic and his Sleep Academy. Lives in out in Vienna. So they were going to be doing his Vienna event. Rob and I were both part of that crew that were going to go over and be speakers at that event. The event didn't work out the way it was supposed to, and it later became part of the Goose Tour, right? So that kind of was what Ethan and Andy did to help Felix out. But that's where I met these guys, and they run great events. They run an event that's not even Skool related that I knew about from a few years back. So Ethan hits me up and says, "Hey, I hear that you're the guy in charge of LA." And I'm like, "No, I'm backing out." He's like, "No, don't back out. We've done like 2 or 3 of these now with Goose. We'll jump in. We'll help you." So these guys come in. They save the day. The LA event was off the hook. An admin in both LA and Phoenix. And so I ended up doing both of those, and then went to the San Diego one as well. And so that's kind of how the whole mayor thing came up. Is I love what Goose and his team were doing. I think right now it's going through maybe some iteration changes. 2026, there's going to be less of those because they did, I don't even know how many. I'll say 40, but probably more than that worldwide. I mean, these guys were doing an event like every week and sometimes multiple in a week, crisscrossing the globe, which is not an easy thing. So there's going to be much less of them in 2026. There is some talk that they might be more, that Skool might take a bigger part in them. Because, initially these were Goose and out of Goose's pocket, and He was funding it. He was planning it. I know that he and Sam are having some conversations. I can't go into where they're going with that or where that is, but there will be less of them. And I just saw this as the opportunity for how to now bridge what I'm doing on Skool and what I want to do with in-person events. And so Rachel and I have been talking about doing in-person events together for a while. And so when I saw that the Goose team was opening up more spots for their mayor um, candidates, we'll call it, I said, Rachel, you got to get in. I've already put in a good word with you for Tony. With Tony, jump in. She nailed it, right? She grew her group from like 0 to 40 plus members quickly. She's already done like 3 or 4 meetups. Tony can't speak highly enough of her. He's like, yeah, she just nailed it. But there's a few like MJ Berst, who's she's the Milwaukee mayor. Brian Cameron out of San Diego. Stacy Oros out of Nevada. So these guys were all candidates to be mayors, and they were all in Recreate. So I got them all together. So listen, I'm already in the mayor group. They weren't in that mayor group yet. So whatever information I get from there, let's have a call and I'll feed it back to you. And now they all official mayors. And I think hopefully what we're going to build is just this idea again that we're better together, right? And that's just the new collaboration. So as they go down their events and their meetups that satisfy their role as a Skool IRL mayor, what can we do bigger together? Maybe they do, a couple of Milwaukee events or a couple of Minnesota events, and then we figure out how we could do like a regional event where we all kind of chime in together. So I think for me, the idea that I'm not sure if I am the only, I think I was the first co-mayor of 2 cities, right? So I have Dr. Steven as my co-mayor for Arizona. And then I'm working with a lady named Ellie, who is my co-mayor here in Los Angeles. And, you talked about this idea about the what they really want is the who, right? And Ellie and I kind of proved that this accidentally. We did our first in-person event for LA, for Los Angeles, back in December, right around Christmas time. And we didn't know what to expect. It was our first time doing it, right? We ended up having like 13 people show up, which is pretty successful for these things because a lot of people get like 2 or 3. We had like 13 people show up. We had people flying in from Vegas, driving up from San Diego, which was like a 3.5-hour drive. I think I was the closest one to Ellie. I live 12 miles out, but in LA traffic that means an hour and a half, right? And we had a plan because what most of the mayors were doing for their meetups was, meeting up and doing fun stuff or whatever, but then having some kind of like a hot seat or a roast where people can get their community building questions answered. And so we were planning for that. But what we found out is it just turned into a mastermind group. And we just talked. We talked business building. We talked some Skool, but it wasn't Skool specific. And I think we slated this thing to be from like 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And instead it went on until like 8:30 or 9.
Oh, wow.
And it was a house party. We were at Ellie's house, just kind of all grouped together, talking in the living room, enjoying a potluck. And it just became this really organic, beautiful thing. And so we're doing our second one. We took January off. We have another one scheduled for the end of February. And we think that a mastermind was born without even trying to build one. And so I think that this kind of really speaks to your thoughts on sort of what this is becoming with the summit, and what the power of these in-person events could be. And so I'm really looking forward to that being the next level of collaboration that I have with other community owners. Is let's take it offline. And I think we need to. I think online is great, but I think that connection that we're all striving for is going to be found in real life.
Well, let me tell you, you get to the Midwest to visit Rachel for an in real life, and I'm not there. I'm going to have a bone to pick with both of you.
Well, hold on. I'm going to go ahead and, on behalf of myself and Rachel, I'm going to extend the invitation right now. And so if you're not there, we have a bone to pick with you.
I love that. I am in Rachel's Skool IRL Minneapolis group. Uh, Jason, her fiance, is becoming a member. He's becoming a close member of my community Better Brain Project. We talk a lot. Uh, They got a lot going on. Arts go out to them. They got a lot going on in Minneapolis, Minnesota right now, right in their front door. So I've been talking to them a lot. And we're, as soon as it's not 36 below wind chills, which we got today, I think we're gonna get out of the house and we're gonna meet for coffee because we're only a couple hours away. We could do a quick little drive meet. I think the four of us are gonna do that soon. So yeah, count me in. Um, I see this happening too, right? Like we talk about it. Dr. Melissa, our other partner, has land in Michigan. Dinka just bought land in Portugal. So maybe we'll have school in real life, evergreen foundations, and Dinka's Portugal flower field, hopefully someday. I mean, I love the fact that we can come together, share stuff, we can have groups, we can do this kind of stuff, but we can also go, hey, let's plan something and I'll get together in real life because that's when things happen. As you say, like just listen to your story. That's when things happen. And ask Dinka how many times I've tried to create something in the last 2 years to monetize or make money or do this and nothing happened. And now we just, one idea turned into this. And now we're weekly podcasters. We're doing things I never, if you would ask me about small focus groups or, hey, what's your monetization plan going to be? I would have told you I have no idea. I'm trying to create
Mm,
something. Now our communities show us, and it's like, oh, hey, I'm doing this thing, and it's yeah, I guess that's our thing. Like, and like you said, like, hey, I guess this is how it means. We stayed this many hours, and I guess that's what it means. When you don't, yes, as business owners, as we need structure, we need plans, we need systems. But if you try to force everything into a systematic result, I think that's when you just get burnt out. Just let it be you and let it happen. Would you agree with that?
man, I mean, now you're speaking my language, right? It's as I try to find ways to bring the idea of manifestation into my very corporate, real world people. Right? That's really what I was talking about when I was talking about living this sort of a split life. I think if anything, what I'm becoming more of is this idea that I don't have to do that anymore. And maybe I don't care as much. Maybe it's being 57, going on 58 this year. I just don't care anymore. You want to call me kind of cuckoo for believing in manifestation and manifesting principles? Go right ahead. But to your point, I think I'm becoming less and less, and this is hard for me to say because obviously you don't put on a an event for 20,000, 40,000 people without a lot of very strict plans, protocols, contingencies, all of that in place. You just don't. And so having to break free of this idea of plan and structure being so important. I'm going back and I'm remembering the things that I've done in my life. And the things that I really tried hard to, I probably succeeded at, but I probably did it with struggle. I probably didn't when I got to that point, I probably didn't feel as fulfilled as I thought I would. And the things that I never really tried, that I just used imagination, that I just fell into, um, I got them with a lot of ease. They were more sustainable. They were filled with fulfillment, and quite frankly, they made more money. And so I guess if there's a message when it comes to the money making part for anybody who's listening on this call now or who's going to listen to the recording, if you go forward with service, if you go forward with connection, if you just use the three C's from recreate, create something, connect with people, find those you can collaborate with, and you just stay true to those things, I promise you the money will be there. The money will show up. You got to stop looking for it. And not to get too metaphysical on this, but the fact that you're looking for it is the reason why you can't.
So true.
And for anybody who says like, I don't believe in the manifestation stuff, I would point this out. I would invite you to look at your life and to understand that you're manifesting every day. You're just not manifesting stuff that you say you want. You're manifesting the stuff that you say you don't want because that's what you're focused on. Um, Redirect that attention, and you will find that this life can be way more magical than you've ever given it credit for.
Yeah. I Dinka always says, and I'm gonna let you just like I'll get it this is a good segue to let you talk. Dinka always says words are like spells, right? When we think it, when we say it, when we put it out there, You're witchcraft. You're doing a spell. You're putting that out there. My life sucks. It sure does because you just said it sucks. Like, yeah, we're totally here for that. I'll kick it over to you, Dinka.
Yeah, and this is what it echoes back from what we were talking about with Lindsay also the other day. That this is how the universe works. Like this is what you're thinking about. Here's some more of this. That's just the law of attraction. And
Yep.
thinking about what you don't want is still thinking about it. So it's really, yeah, choose your words wisely, choose your thoughts wisely. It's so important and so underrated. And in a way, it's also simple. And maybe that's why people think like, oh, it cannot be that simple. Like it must be more complicated than that. No, it really isn't. That's just, the universe is mental. Everything is thought. We are energy. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's really cool that these things pop up from time to time in certain calls. I really love that. So yeah, thank
I
you
feel like
for
we could have a whole call, Dinka, you and I on this.
yeah, yeah.
Go
I
over a lot
agree.
with it. But it's so true, right? And the funny thing is, the more you study and the more you look at it, and every culture's been saying the same thing forever.
Mhm.
Like the message hasn't changed in thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
We just haven't learned it yet. This is why it has to come up all the time because it's like, okay, maybe they will get it this way. Okay, wait, let me put it that way. Maybe they will get it. That's how I feel.
Totally, totally. It's funny. I tell the story about the power of imagination, and when I worked for the company I was at, there was a woman that worked there, and she was my boss's administrative assistant, right? So she worked in the Los Angeles office, and I'm always flying around the world, so I was never ever in LA. But at one point, and we worked. Our office building was at the LA Live arena, where like Staples, now Crypto.com is, where the Lakers play, and so it's a big hub downtown Los Angeles. And so I can't remember the name of those cars, but the little three wheelers that are street legal. You know what I'm talking about? The
Oh
the
yeah,
fun
yeah.
little thing. So that company came to LA Live,
Segway.
and not the Segways, not the ones you ride, like the ones you drive, like little cars.
Oh, okay, okay.
So they came and they built a track like on the city streets and going through, and they allowed people, excuse me, to come in and drive those things, right? So I wasn't there for that. I was overseas at the time, but my coworker Chieko was doing this, and Chieko was really expressive when she talked, when she tells stories. And so she posted a video of her driving this thing. She has her helmet on. She's zipping the turns, right? And I saw the video. And when I got back in town, I said, "Hey, tell me about that. That was cool. I've always ridden motorcycles my whole life, but I've never done one of those. I've always wanted to, right? So tell me about it." And she's like, "Oh, Brennan, it was so cool. I'm on Olympic Boulevard. I'm doing this. I'm turning it." She's like living it, right? And as she's telling the story, I'm living it with her. Okay. I'm making the dips and the turns. Now, there were people in the office who were not within earshot, but they could see us. And I always tell the story that this was one person's experience that she was going from her memory, which is nothing other than imagination. And I was going to the future, which I hadn't done it yet, which is nothing other than imagination. And if you didn't know, you wouldn't know which one of us had actually done the thing and which one of us was just anticipating doing the thing. That's how powerful imagination is.
Yes.
It's just an experience that we go through. And so I think our points, I used to always get asked this question all the time is, Brennan, what's the purpose of life? And thank you for the credit of that. I don't know what the purpose is, but I would suggest it's this. It's to experience it. Because otherwise, everybody's been on my calls will always know that I say this religiously. We are spiritual beings living on a physical plane, blessed with an intellect. That's what makes us kind of different. And if it weren't for the human physical plane part, there would be no point. Because we're already spirit, and spirit already gets all that. Spirit already has access to all that information all at once. So the point is to go out there and just live it. Like the point of life is life. Like that's it. You don't need to go any further. Just live it, express it, experience it. And so I'm just happy that we get to experience this with you guys. And I want to say thank you for doing this. I got to go back to the very beginning and say this. I might have thrown some ideas out there for this thing, and just kind of said a sentence. I say a lot of crazy sentences, as Shannon will tell you. So the credit goes to you guys for just taking a crazy comment and breathing life into it and making this real. I mean, there's 31 of these, I guess, planned, right?
There's 32 guests for all of January.
Crazy. I mean, look what you guys did. Look what you guys manifested. I mean, I think just that idea alone just encapsulates this whole thing. It encapsulates community. It encapsulates what business could be. It encapsulates just connection. And you had an idea and you implemented that idea flawlessly. And so I just have to say, if nobody has said it to you guys yet, kudos for what you're doing. It's important that you're doing it. It needs to be done. And I can't think of two better people to do it than you guys, because you've been great hosts Maldives that I've seen. So thank you.
Thank you, Brennan. That really means a lot.
It's very kind of you. And it's been so much fun also. That's the most incredible part of it, that it's so exciting. Like every single day when we come here to record this call, it's like we literally don't know what is going to be, but every single time without exception, it's always something magical that happens live. And that's the coolest part. So
And,
thank you
That's
for
so awesome.
bringing your magic today.
yeah, and as hosts, like we get something from every one of these. I am hearing great, like just those little nuggets of, hey, I listened to Lindsay's call on the way to work this morning. I have to start thinking different, manifesting. I'm manifesting stuff into my life. I have to do this. I've had a member reach out to me that said, "Hey, Gabby's call just it really changed my life, and I now know I have to focus on my mental health." And it's just the things that are coming from every single person, us shining a light on them, has been such a beautiful, amazing experience that we didn't see coming from this. We wanted to shine light on all these cool people we knew, but we didn't. I don't think we even knew that this was possible, like Dinka said, where it was gonna be almost like magic every time we do it. So I really appreciate you saying that and being a part of this, and it's such a cool thing that we're a school podcast. We're shouting out owners, we're talking about people, and it's talking about communities that light us up, and it's a unique thing that, like, I don't know if there is any school-based podcasts across the platforms right now,
Hopefully there will be more of this,
and I hope there
because
will be a
we've
lot.
said
Yeah,
it a couple of times, yes, that it's our aim to hopefully change the culture on school and spread this as an approach that we can all win together. We don't have to compete with each other. It's more fun, it's easier, it's better together.
and the
Definitely.
more things that we spawn, the more ideas we spawn from this, the more people that go create and collab and connect with others, the more that they're doing really cool stuff. We've been shutting them out all day because we're both connected. Life coach Rob, him and AN from his community, his partner, they just launched a duo podcast and tagged Dinka and I and said, "Hey, you guys inspire us, so we're taking action. We're doing a duo podcast now." And I was like, "This is awesome." So it's those things that collab, connect, create. The theme of this call is we're creating things, we're doing it with others, and the connections coming from that are beautiful.
Definitely. Now, I was surprised how few inter-community collaborations I saw when Rob and I first started collaborating. There weren't a lot. I mean, there weren't any that I really knew about. And so I see more and more of it now. I see it with the IRLs. I see it with what you guys are doing. It's great stuff. Rob and Ama and I have been talking about getting an in-person event together down in Tuluma Retreat. So I think we're still, going in that direction. Rob and I have separately been talking with another partner of ours, a guy named Chris Shattuck, about doing some retreats for the three of us. So I love the direction, and I'm happy. I'm blessed to be a part of anybody who's collaborating like this. I'm blessed to be a part of this, and I look forward to doing more of these with you guys too. I think if it's to be, it's for us to do.
Yeah, and honestly, 90 minutes was not enough. We didn't even touch surfaces or scratch surfaces of I think this has been happening to me a lot with guests. I look at the time and I'm like, "Oh, we gotta schedule them again because I have so much more I wanna talk to them about."
Well, in case we run out of guests for our podcast, we can always do a second round of people that we talk to. And I think it will be interesting actually to come back and sit down again with those people, I don't know, within 3 months, 6 months, a year, and check in like, hey, what's happened since the last time we talked? Maybe that's another idea, but we will see. Who knows?
I like it.
Personally,
School
I'm gonna be
school and life
resting
move
for
so
11 months
fast.
and here again.
I'm sorry, say it again, Brennan.
I said, personally, I hope we rest for 11 months and then Evolution 2027 is a thing.
There you go. There you go. I like it.
So,
Well, I'll
we
give a
do
little
want
tease.
to.
I'll give a little tease. The Recreate experience is going to be launching soon as well. So um, that will be a mixture of podcasting and then live events, in-person events. So
I
I
like,
look forward to having you guys both part of that too.
yeah. Hey, we're both in Recreate. I think this is a great one. I think it is. I know I am. This is a great experience being in your community. You and Shannon lead with a lot of heart, a lot of love. And I really love that about your community. So I'm looking forward to it, man. That'd be awesome.
Definitely.
So Dinka, I'm gonna throw you the hand egg as Dinka calls footballs hand eggs, and I absolutely love it. So now I always call them that. People look at me crazy here in the United States. I'll throw it over to you for this part of the call.
Yeah, so you probably know by now that I do the card thing at the end of the call. So the one that I got for you, it's the Knight, and it reads, "Be brave and honest." So I hope that resonates.
I love it. We'll have to, on our next call, we'll have to talk about sort of the keynote speech that started all of this for me. And it's called Be Bold, Be Free.
Wow.
Um, and the tagline is Live Beyond Belief. So the be brave and be honest, that definitely resonates. Thank you for that.
Right.
I think that could be a special event someday that we do the Be Bold, Be Free um, summit with Brennan maybe on a Saturday or something. We'll have to talk
Oh,
about.
I love it.
Brennan, this time has went so fast. It's been unbelievable to talk to you. You're one of those people that I look forward to collaborating with more on Skool. You've kind of been a part of our ascension journey on Skool the whole way. Thank you so much for being here. This Skool podcast is a lot of fun to talk to a lot of other owners and people who are doing things, but then trying to do it in real life as well. So I ask everybody the same question, Brennan, before we leave, and I kind of can't wait for your answer. What does evolution mean to you?
It's funny. I had to choose a word of the year for myself recently, and my first one was fulfillment. And just because I've been doing a lot of things over the years, but not necessarily getting that sense of fulfillment like we talked about earlier. So then I had a second opportunity to pick a word, and that word came out to transcendent. That was what I chose. So when I think of evolution, I think of that transcendence. I think of, as I was talking about earlier, all those iterations of becoming, right? If you're constantly in a state of becoming, then by default, you are constantly in a state of evolution. And I don't know that as human beings, we get to escape that. The only thing we get to answer is evolving into what? And that part's in your control. And so for me, evolution as a word is the intentional becoming better. And if
So
I were to put it
amazing.
into a little mantra that I kind of came up with a couple of years ago is I'm better than I used to be, not as good as I'm going to be.
Love it.
And I think that's evolution.
Amazing answer, Brennan. Thank you so much again. Guys, Huru Crew, Recreate on Skool, Brennan Thompson, partner Shannon Costs, amazing communities. Join them today. Give our podcast a follow. We are on Spotify, YouTube, here in Skool first, and now, as of today, Apple iTunes. So give us a listen. Don't stop evolving, and have a great week, guys.
Bless you guys.
Thanks
Thank you
very
so
much.
much.
Yeah, bye bye.